State's most watched news starts now.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the KOM Morning News. It is 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. Warmer weather ahead. First, we have to get through sub-freezing temperatures. Let's go straight to the Skywatch storm tracker, where we are off to a clear, cold, and crisp morning. No worry about precipitation. No worry about cloud cover. Let's just make sure we stay warm. Temperatures an actual -4 in Pittsburgh. Let's go 5 in Neosho and 4 in Chanute as well. From the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. No difference between the temperature and what it feels like. An actual 4 degrees right there. Pressure is falling though, as the high pressure that we had yesterday has now passed through the area. These are the wind chill numbers, right at, if not just a little bit below zero for the entire 4 states. While the cold front has penetrated down to southwest Texas. What's up, babe? Sorry, folks, I was not in my right place. We're up to, we are seeing it start to recede just a little bit as we'll pay attention to New Orleans and Atlanta right there. While they were in the teens yesterday, now up to the 30s. So it is starting to pull back just a little bit. Future track is going to keep us on the dry side for Friday into Saturday. As a matter of fact, we get up into the 30s today. So let the old melt begin. And then by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, we're throwing up 40s on the board. So that's not too bad to complain about. Still looking at some rain on Sunday. And with the 5 to 7 inches that we've got on the ground right now that has to go someplace, that will cause some flooding concerns for the end of the weekend. But then look at those nice temperatures next week. Won't know what to do with ourselves. Close to 60 on Tuesday and a string of 40s all the way through the middle of the week. Oklahoma is getting federal help dealing with the aftermath of the winter storm as President Biden approved a disaster declaration request covering all of the Sooner State's 77 counties. Declaration helps the state funding for mass care and sheltering, as well as direct federal funding assistance to state and local agencies. In a statement, Governor Kevin Stitt thanked the president for his, quote, swift action. Police and firefighters in Cherokee County, Kansas spent Wednesday and Thursday making sure residents had the bare necessities to get by during the recent dangerously cold weather. On top of their regular duties, deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Department spent yesterday delivering food boxes to families who were stuck at home. The Columbus, Kansas Fire Department also making deliveries, but instead of food, bringing people some extra warm fleece blankets provided by the charity Dream Big, Little One.
We simply made a Facebook video post, and we thought we'd give out 4 or 5 blankets, but within a day or two we had done 20 just through our department. So it went really well.
In Columbus, city leaders say that they're moving quickly through the water supply. Say it's an indication of a major leak or perhaps several leaks. Asking residents in Columbus to take a look around their property to check for accumulating water that would indicate a leak. They also ask that you keep an eye out when you're just driving around town. Look for large amounts of water bubbling or running water in ditches, and then call City Hall if you spot any of those indicators. City of Carterville, Missouri offers free cases of water to residents as it deals with its own water issues. Residents can now go to the fire station in Carterville, get up to 2 cases of water per household. Delivery also available if you're elderly. Wednesday, a pump failed. Carterville lost access to its water supply, now under a boil advisory, and getting a new pump that they say hopefully was going to work better.
We've told that they are more reliable. It's a new system, and then at the same time the city is still continually working on our own backup system. We are close to actually drilling another well.
If you live in Carterville, you can go to the fire station at 101 East Main Street. Spire and Liberty Utility Company say energy conservation efforts are working and things are starting to return to normal. Liberty officials say the Southwest Power Pool no longer in an emergency alert, but Liberty still on a peak advisory until noon and asking you to take energy conservation efforts for just one more day. Spire has lifted its emergency curtailment plan. Winter weather causing local health departments to postpone coronavirus vaccine clinics. The city of Joplin canceled a second dose clinic for residents who got their first dose at the National Guard's drive-through clinic. And in Newton County, Missouri, the health department postponed its first 2 clinics scheduled for this week. Larry Bergner with the health department says those were for initial doses and they're being rescheduled for next week.
It's just a matter of having the personnel and a little bit of time to make those phone calls and do that rescheduling. But luckily, it's been a good process. We've gotten a hold of most everybody and have them rescheduled.
There's a debate gaining momentum in Topeka. Should college students pay on-campus tuition if the pandemic forced them off campus? This week, a House panel amended the state's higher education budget to require that colleges, community colleges, and tech schools reimburse students for 50% of tuition paid every day they spent online instead of in the classroom. The amendment would reimburse at 100% for days that students miss class entirely. Colleges have already refunded students some fees for lost housing and food services using federal relief funds. Any further refunds would involve thousands of students and could hurt those school budgets. Higher education institutions have already been warning of cuts and layoffs. Now that it's 5:07, turn our attention to the Skywatch Weather Center, where, look at that, 32. We'll take that for a daily high. Nah, it's nothing to write home about, but at the same point in time, at least gets us a little bit of a melt going on. So we slowly get up into the 30s, but what we're going to have, a nice dose of good sunshine all day long, and not really going to have to combat super freezing overnight lows in between Friday and Saturday, as Saturday will bring us temps up into the 40s. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up next on the KOAM Morning News. After 455 days without a match, Pitt-State's volleyball team finally sets foot on the court this weekend for their home opener. And officials warn that the new strains of COVID could lead to a rapid rise of new cases. Texas Senator Ted Cruz facing criticism for flying to Cancun, Mexico, while his state struggled with the Arctic blast. Why the senator says now it was a mistake. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. The second year for state-sanctioned girls high school wrestling in Kansas. And at Columbus High School, year 2 has come with an increase in both numbers and an increase in success. Our own Danny Terzer with the story.
The girls wrestling team at Columbus High School has doubled in size between its first year of existence and its second, and they're still looking to grow.
Girls just really don't know what this sport is about. They know, oh, it's a guy thing. So really just, being in contact with everybody around the school and hopefully advertising it on social media and just showing girls what it's actually about and that it's not as scary as it looks.
Most of the girls don't have a lot of prior experience, but they're fast learners and have found quick success.
We're pretty green as far as their knowledge. We don't have any girls that started wrestling when they were 6, 7 years old, so we're kind of really starting from scratch, and it's good.
This year, the Columbus girls won their district and were runners-up at regionals. 5 girls qualified to compete in sub-state this weekend.
They pick up faster like sponges, man, and they don't have any bad habits because of that. And they're very coachable, and they have that passion.
Simply put, the program is taking off.
That just really shows a lot about our school and about our coaches and our community. They're all out there supporting us, and we're taking that support and we're going in and we're getting results out of it.
No matter how the season finishes out, the girls are proud of how much they've already achieved.
I might not go out and I might not win sub-state, I might not even make it to state, but just, doing as well as I've done and encouraging the girls around me to do as well as they've done, and hopefully we can place as a team, that's just what keeps us going.
We're all really hard workers and we all just are really passionate for it and just kind of want to prove to people what we can do.
In Columbus, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Columbus girls wrestle in sub-state at Anderson County High School. It all starts today at 3 o'clock. Been a long time since the Pittsburgh State volleyball team's been on the floor. How about 455 days since their last match? But this weekend, that long wait is finally over. Here's Sports Director Jacob Leonard.
February is normally off-season training time for Pitt State volleyball.
This would be the time of the year where we're working on individually getting better and then, putting it together later in March.
Instead,
Game speed, let's go, Cannon, make your movements!
the Gorillas are preparing for their first match in more than a year.
We are excited. It's kind of a new feeling again.
We've been anticipating this for so long that it's kind of like we're finally going to get to show people what we've been working so long on.
Pitt State's fall season was canceled in 2020 due to the pandemic. Instead, they'll play 14 matches this spring, beginning with 2 on Saturday.
We're going to play, and it might not be for a conference tournament or any of that stuff, but it's still worthwhile, and it's helping us get stronger and better every day.
We'll take whatever we can get. It's odd to feel, to get to play in February, but like I said, we don't care. We're ready to play. I'm ready to see somebody else. You still got to work to close that. Here we go.
The Gorillas will use their spring schedule to compete and see what they have heading into fall.
There's nothing wrong with getting some of these new kids and the young ones some experience. If we aren't going to go game speed, it's not going to work on Saturday. I want to kind of gauge where we're at.
And although it will be a quick turnaround to fall 2021, it may be a blessing in disguise for PSU.
It could just be the opportunity for us now to kind of see what works and then solidify that and keep working on it to where we come back in August, short turnaround, it's like, hey, you can't forget what we just did.
It'll be really good to get a sort of cohesiveness going with the same people because we're not going to be losing anyone. They will all be coming back next year, so we'll be more comfortable playing with each other.
Maybe it won't hurt us. Maybe it'll be great and move on, but we'll see.
Pitt State plays 2 matches at home on Saturday. Get Washburn at 10, Northwest Missouri 6:30 in the evening. On to basketball, Macaulay at TJ last night. Macaulay girls already earning the #1 seed in the district. First quarter pass to Kennedy Duree in the corner. 3-ball, Macaulay opens on a 15-0 run. Second quarter, Olivia Beard on the arc. Drops to 3. Thomas Jefferson down by 16 at the half, though. In the third quarter, Kaylee Teeter, launch, game high, 26. McCully rolls in this one. Final score, 63-28. Still to come on the KOM Morning News, a new COVID trial in the United Kingdom.
People are deliberately being infected with COVID. I'm Ian Lee with what scientists hope to learn from this latest trial.
And to check on our 7-day forecast, oh my goodness, we're going to be above the freezing mark headed into the weekend when the KOM Morning News returns. Just past 5:17, roll a little weather on the 7s on a Friday morning. We do have negative temperatures. These are not wind chills. These are actual temps. 4 below in Pittsburgh, 2 below in Miami. Throw Nevada up in there at 4 below as well. Here's a look from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, where we actually sit at 4 degrees. Not much of a difference between temperature and wind chill, but it's a multiple layer day once again, but at least we're headed in the right direction. Don't have to worry about any wintry precipitation. There's now a high pressure system kicking right over us overnight, leaving us with very, very clear skies. And the temperature actually starting to get a little bit better in the deep south. So what that means is a very slow retreat of the Arctic air that we've had. That high pressure dominating the southwest for the most part, and the winter storm system now turning mostly into rain along the mid-Atlantic, but still dropping a fair amount of snow for the northeastern portion of the United States. It'll be so nice to get up into the 30s today, and we're going to get plenty of sunshine. It's actually going to be just a beautiful day outside. And the positive thing is we can finally begin a little bit of a melt as we get up to the close to the freezing mark. We'll see some 33s, 34s even this afternoon. Not too bad overnight. We'll take 20s at this point in time. And as we push into Saturday, throwing up 40s on the board. Now, I do want to pay attention to Sunday. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. Let me take that back a day, because what I want to do is I want to talk about Sunday. If you have your phone with you and you can open your camera on your phone, all you have to do is take a picture of that right there. That QR code is going to take you directly to the Skywatch weather app. And the reason that that's important is, well, number one, just keeps you up to date with all your 4-state weather. You can even tell exactly where you are geographically. So if you or one of the loved ones is on the road, it's going to pinpoint where you are and what's going on in your neck of the woods. Once again, just take a picture of it and it'll take you right there. It's free, downloadable for all your mobile devices. Now, as we go back to the 7-day forecast here, what I wanted to point out was on Sunday. I'm going to have some flooding concerns there because the 5 to 7 inches of snow is going to melt, and we'll have additional rainfall. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning, state of Texas continues to suffer from the deadly winter storm, and one of its most vocal politicians happened to take a trip to Cancun, Mexico. Says now he's having second thoughts. Caroline Shively with the latest from D.C.
Weather conditions in Texas remain dire.
All the power is out. People are just trying to stay warm.
But as Texans face freezing temperatures, rolling blackouts, and still no drinking water, Senator Ted Cruz faced backlash over his family vacation to Mexico. After arriving home from Cancun Thursday, Cruz explained why he took the trip.
We had spent 2 days without power, and my girls wanted to take a trip with their friends and frankly get somewhere where it was warmer. And Heidi and I agreed. We took them. I flew them down last night, and then I just flew back today. Before then, and going forward, I am continuing to work with state officials, with local officials.
But Twitter had already exploded, with Flying Ted, Cancun Cruz, and even Marie Antoinette trending, but with Let Them Eat Cake replaced by Let Them Eat Snow. Others are remembering this tweet from Cruz in December, where he slammed Austin's mayor for traveling to Cabo, then telling his constituents to stay home because of the COVID pandemic. The Texas Democratic Party is calling for Cruz to resign from office or be expelled, and the Democrat who ran against him in 2018 is questioning the timing of the trip.
People are literally freezing to death in the state that he was elected to represent and serve.
I have to admit, I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Cruz has some time for voters to forget about his holiday to Mexico. He's not up for re-election until 2024. No word yet on whether he'll run again for president.
Our question on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, is the backlash Senator Cruz receiving warranted? You can let us know and chime in on the Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with Health Watch next. New reports suggest coronavirus variants could lead to a rapid rise in new cases if Americans become complacent. Mandy Gaither with the details.
All eyes on the highly contagious coronavirus variants as more mutations are identified in the U.S.
I know these variants are concerning, especially as we're seeing signs of progress. I'm talking about them today because I am concerned too.
While COVID-19 cases are falling in the U.S., 2 new reports by the CDC warn the variants could cause a rapid rise in COVID-19 cases. In one report, researchers from the CDC and Minnesota Health Department detailed cases of the variant first identified in the UK. Earlier modeling data suggested this variant, which may be more transmissible, could become the predominant variant in the United States in March. And officials are urging people to take action to reduce spread.
When your turn to get vaccinated comes up, get vaccinated. It's not only good for you and your family and your community, it will have a very important impact on the dynamics of the outbreak in our country.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is now saying it'll be May or June before all Americans could have access to COVID vaccines. Originally, he said it would be April. However, the rollout of Johnson & Johnson's single-dose COVID vaccine will be much slower than expected because of a production miscommunication. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Experts say the same prevention methods can help slow the spread of the variants, including wearing a mask, social distancing, and hand washing. Less physically active boys who regularly play video games at age 11 are less likely to develop symptoms of depression 3 years later. Researchers in London say the findings suggest certain aspects of video games, such as problem solving and social interaction, can help improve mental health. So look at some of today's top health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News. Plenty of sunshine for our Friday. It is a cold start. We've got negative temperatures right now, but eventually up around the freezing mark. So our melt finally begins. That 5 to 7 inches of snow, it's got to go somewhere though. And so we'll begin in earnest to get rid of it on Saturday as we get up into the 40s. Key factor is going to be Sunday, because while the 40s return, we're going to get rain as well. So we begin to talk about some flooding concerns for the end of the weekend. Then as we push into next week, almost close to 60 degrees on Tuesday, kind of normalized for the 40s on Wednesday and Thursday coming off this week. Going to be balmy, almost feel like we're in San Diego.
Your state's most watched news starts now.
To the KOAM Morning News, it's 5:30. I'm Tanya Vaughn. Warmer weather ahead with a chance of rain this weekend. Let's go straight to Michael with a look at your forecast.
All right, Tucker, let's go ahead and zoom in on the 4 states here. We are off to a clear, cold, and crisp Friday morning. Don't have to worry about any precipitation, so you do have to bundle up, though. This is cold one outside. Temperatures right now as low as 3 below in Pittsburgh, only 4 in Monette. How about the big old goose egg right there in Independence from the Freeman Health System sky camera. In Joplin, 4 degrees. A little bit of falling barometer right there. High pressure system has now moved over us. Wind chills. How about 1 below in Anderson, 1 in Chetopa, a couple of zeros in Nevada and Fort Scott. So even though we're starting to see the Arctic cold retract from the deep south, still hanging over the Midwest. But watch this. We're going to have a gorgeous Friday, even though it's going to be cool, and get up close to 30 degrees. Now, as we get into Saturday, we'll throw some 40s up on the board. That's hard to beat right there. 7-day forecast is going to send our temperatures consistently into the 40s for next week. We are watching out for that rain on Sunday because that can cause some flooding concerns as the melt finally begins.
Oklahoma is getting federal help dealing with the aftermath of the winter storm. President Biden yesterday approved a disaster declaration request that covers all of the state's 77 counties. The declaration will help the state with funding for mass care and sheltering, as well as direct federal funding assistance to state and local agencies. In a statement, Governor Kevin Stitt thanked the president for his, quote, swift action. First responders in Cherokee County, Kansas spent the last 2 days making some special deliveries to county residents, making sure they were safe during the cold weather. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke with the Cherokee County Sheriff and Columbus, Kansas Fire Chief to learn more.
Thursday's sunshine made things a little less stressful in Cherokee County, Kansas, but that didn't stop the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office or the Columbus, Kansas Fire Department from doing the same thing they did yesterday, making food and blanket deliveries to county residents and checking to make sure they are surviving the cold.
This past week, we've had a combination of a lot of things. Severe weather, people not able to get to work, which means no income coming in. They've got kids at home that are eating that maybe would otherwise be eating at school. So it's just an additional burden on families that hopefully we were able to alleviate.
The Sheriff's Office was able to provide food deliveries thanks to donations from county residents and businesses. And the Columbus Fire Department was able to deliver fleece blankets thanks to a partnership with local charity Dream Big Little One.
We're looking to make this a county-wide effort. We have plenty of departments in our county that'll help out with this, as well as our sheriff department. They'll help deliver them out in the county if needed. So anybody that lives in Cherokee County, if they're in need of a blanket, reach out to us and we'll make it happen.
Protecting the people of Cherokee County is what these departments are here for. But efforts like this show they do a lot more than just respond to crimes and fires.
Being in law enforcement, serving the community isn't always about enforcing the laws and responding to calls. Certainly that's a component of it, but actually providing a service to the community, helping out however we can.
Fire departments all over the world are known more than just firefighters nowadays. You know, we're just trying to be a positive impact in our community, and anything we can do to make a greater impact, you know, you can bet we're going to be there doing it.
In Cherokee County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Tess Watson, founder of Dream Big Little One, the charity which provided the Columbus Fire Department with blankets, issued a statement on the partnership to KOAM. She said in part, quote, "It's all about coming together and being part of a solution." If you've ever moved before and used Jomo Moving, you may have helped people in need this winter. Turns out there are coats left behind when people move, and Jomo Moving collected those coats. They've been available for free at Jomo Moving's sister company, Jomo Bazaar.
I mean, throughout the cold snap, just until it runs out, you know, we're getting pretty scarce in the warehouse as far as, you know, winter type clothing. Unless people donate, you know, it's going to be there till we run out.
Jomo Bazaar is at 1504 East 32nd Street in Joplin. Attorneys for the purported leader of the Kansas City cell of the Proud Boys blame former President Trump for the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. They say the 5 weeks since then have broken the fever dream. William Cressman is an Army veteran and union sheet metal worker from Olathe, Kansas. He remains in custody on charges of conspiracy, obstruction of an official proceeding, threatening to assault a federal law enforcement officer, and other charges stemming from the riot. There's a debate gaining momentum in Topeka, Kansas. Should college students pay on-campus tuition if the pandemic forced them off campus? This week, a House panel amended the state's higher education budget to require that colleges, community colleges, and technical schools reimburse students for 50% of the tuition paid every day they spend online instead of in the classroom. The amendment would reimburse at 100% for days that students miss class entirely. Colleges have already refunded students some fees for lost housing and food services using federal relief funds. Any further refunds would involve thousands of students and could hurt budgets. Higher education institutions have already been warning of cuts and layoffs. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, back in business. The world's largest art museum gets a new look before reopening to the public. Plus, would you let yourself get infected by the coronavirus for $6,000? We take you inside a trial in the UK paying people to get sick. But first, it's 5:37.
Crisp and clear temperatures right now ranging around 0 degrees. We will get up to the freezing mark today. The melt begins over the weekend as we've got 40s on Saturday and Sunday with some rain on Sunday and some flooding concerns as well. We'll be right back after this.
Topping World Watch, researchers in the UK will deliberately infect people with COVID-19 in the first trial of its kind in the world. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
British scientists are purposely infecting people with the coronavirus, hoping to unlock more information about the disease. Dozens of volunteers said yes, like 18-year-old Alistair.
Absolutely anything that we can do to shorten the pandemic is so unbelievably worth doing.
In the next month, 90 people aged 18 to 30 will be exposed to COVID in a safe, controlled environment.
We believe the risk on this trial is incredibly small because they are young, healthy adults.
Researchers believe this study will give them a treasure trove of crucial information about COVID, like just how much of the virus is needed to cause infection.
We can learn an awful lot about how the virus acts by tracking it sort of from the very beginning of infection, minute by minute.
Volunteers will receive $6,000 to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks as scientists track how their immune systems react to COVID. So-called challenge trials like this have been used in the past to develop treatments for malaria, typhoid, and the flu. The timing of this trial is crucial, as it'll be nearly impossible to do later, as most people will have been vaccinated. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Future UK trials will compare different vaccines to determine just how well they work against COVID-19. A strong earthquake rocks part of southern Iran on Wednesday. The 5.6 magnitude earthquake caused significant damage to thousands of homes as debris littered roadways across the region. More than 55 people were injured, many of whom lived in the farming town of Siska, located 300 miles south of the capital city of Tehran. Residents of the small town were forced to spend the night outdoors as power and gas was cut off because of the quake. A suspected gang of diamond thieves were arrested in France. Police reported on Wednesday 8 suspects related to the January 2020 heist of a purple-colored diamond in Barcelona had been detained by French and Spanish police. The thieves are accused of posing as potential buyers to steal the rare diamond that was estimated to be worth around $18 million. The investigation into the gang later led police to also link the suspects to another diamond robbery from August of 2020 in Cannes, France. During that heist, they stole a diamond worth more than $5 million. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page and on Morning Instapoll, Texas Senator Ted Cruz drawing criticism for taking his family to Cancun, Mexico, as the state struggled with a deadly winter storm. After returning early amid the uproar, Senator Cruz said his daughters had asked to go on a trip since school was canceled for the week. Senator Cruz then calling it a mistake. Frigid temperatures and lack of power blamed for at least 20 deaths in Texas. Our question, is the backlash Senator Ted Cruz received for flying to Cancun warranted or not? We'll begin our comments. I'll tell you what, we're gonna get raked this morning, raked over the coals this morning. That's what it is. Casey Haugerty says there's more important topics than this to, quote, talk about, end quote. A little shaking of the head. Ken Blakemore says, I'd rather see news on what improvements can be made on the power grid to keep this from happening again. D. Inky Hill, the man had plans with his family, not just like he up and left town. Will Batiste says, KOM asks, KOM, this is news? Stirring the pot to create controversy. I seriously wish you would stop this nonsense. There's plenty of this on CNN and MSNBC, in which I don't watch. Will says, stop trying to cause diversity and report on real news, KOM. Christine Shaw says, who's doing the raking? The Dems? He's federal level. What's he going to do? Make a law for the weather to change? Floyd Kennedy says, I'd head to weather warmer myself if I had his money. And Guy Hansen says, if I haven't been clear in the past, let me reiterate. State-run media is the, quote, enemy of the people. Whether it's the NFL, NBA, the papers of record, our schools, Hollywood, and 99% of mainstream media, almost everything we see, read, and hear is controlled by one party. Ted Cruz, Guy asks, whether it be Donald Trump or any other person deemed to be an enemy of the state, they'll be singled out. Every detail of their lives put under the fake news microscope, and they will be demonized. Ted was in favor of a pause and an investigation into voting irregularities and fraud, so he underlined his enemy status. On our Insta poll this morning, 75% of you say the backlash is warranted. You can make your voice heard. Go to komnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Community Blood Center of the Ozarks declares a state of emergency for the local blood supply. Severe winter weather over the last 2 weeks caused almost all mobile drives to be canceled, resulting in the loss of almost 1,000 potential donations. Eligible donors are strongly urged to give immediately at a CBCO donor center or blood drive near them. Joplin area residents will have the opportunity to help bolster the blood supply at an emergency blood drive today from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Freeman Business Center. Police and firefighters in Cherokee County, Kansas spent Wednesday and Thursday making sure residents had the bare necessities to get by during our recent dangerously cold weather. On top of their regular duties, deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office spent the day delivering food boxes to families who were stuck at the home. Columbus, Kansas Fire Department was also making deliveries, but instead of food, they were bringing people some extra warm fleece blankets provided by local charity Dream Big, Little One. Winter weather is causing local health departments to postpone coronavirus vaccine clinics. City of Joplin canceled a second dose clinic for residents who got their first dose at the National Guard's drive-through clinic. And the Newton County Health Department postponed its first 2 clinics scheduled for this week. Larry Bergner with the health department says they were initial doses and they were being rescheduled for next week. City of Carterville, Missouri offers free cases of water to residents as it deals with its own water issues. Residents can go to the fire station to get up to 2 cases of water per household. Delivery is available for the elderly. Earlier this week, a pump failed and the city lost access to its water supply and is now under a boil advisory. Now they're getting a new pump that they say will work better. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Beginning to melt off a little bit of that snow, despite the fact that we have temperatures early this morning in the negative numbers. We're going to get a whole bunch of sunshine for the afternoon and be able to press up right around the freezing mark. And so even those elevated surfaces, just takes a little bit of sunshine for it to begin. Now, we do have a chance for that melt to refreeze overnight from Friday into Saturday. So do want everybody apprised of that situation. But no worries about any snow, no worries about any inclement weather, just staying warm here for the next couple of days. And on Saturday, we're actually going to throw up some 40s. It's going to be a great start to our weekend. Now, speaking of the weekend, yeah, the rain is going to show up on Sunday. And what that's going to do is cause some flooding concerns because at that point in time, the 5 to 7 inches of snow, it'll be on its way down into the ground, and then we're going to pile on some additional precipitation. It'll be widespread, not looking at anything severe, but we'll get a little bit of a soaker there on Sunday. Temperatures as we head into next week. How about high 40s, even almost close to 60 on Monday and Tuesday. Additional rainfall on Wednesday, and then Thursday we're looking overcast, cool. around 40 degrees. If you got your phone with you, just snap a picture of your phone camera of our QR code, and that's going to take you to the Skywatch weather app, and that way we can stay updated not only on the melt, but on the impending Sunday rain as well. We'll be right back after this.
Paris's Louvre Museum is not immune to the pandemic, and like so many other places, it's been closed for months. And the reality is no visitors means no revenue. But curators are finally getting their hands on something money can't buy. Saska Van Dorn reports.
The world's most visited museum awakens, but there are no visitors here. Escalators that once carried 40,000 pairs of feet a day whistle in the eerie emptiness brought on by COVID restrictions. Venus de Milo, Liberty, Leading the People, and the Mona Lisa are having a break from their usual crowds of admirers. What were bustling halls now take mere minutes to walk through. Sculptures forced into hibernation in this Renaissance palace. But they're not completely alone.
It's still living, even though it seems really asleep from the outside.
Since October, when the Louvre closed, hundreds of artisans have been working 5 days a week to refurbish and rejuvenate with the stroke of a brush or the crank of a forklift.
We have all the arts that are being stored or just studied by the curators. We have all the maintenance work that obviously can't stop, so it's really rewarding. The stakes are pretty high, let's say. You don't want to spoil what people have been building in centuries.
Not since World War II has the Louvre been shuttered to the public for so long. Last year it lost 90 million euros in revenue, but curators here say they have gained something more valuable: time.
Le rythme des expositions est tellement intense que c'est vrai que ça nous, voilà, ça apporte du stress, et c'est le plaisir aussi de pouvoir avoir une réflexion calme et à long terme sur ce qu'on veut montrer au Louvre, parce que tout à coup un tableau paraît trop grand, trop petit, ou alors le cadre ne convient pas avec ceux du voisinage. Il faut être à l'écoute de ce que les œuvres ont à dire, et parfois certaines ne s'aiment pas les unes les autres, il faut les séparer.
These 19th century doors that once opened into the bedchamber of French kings are being restored to their former beauty.
And you have these different layers that are meant to recreate, all in all, the veins of the wood, because you have, so many different colors when you look that closely.
On a des soies synthétiques qui sont très douces. Là, on a un blaireau, donc c'est des poils de blaireau. Ici, on a un spalter, c'est de la soie de porc. Enfin, chaque poil.
Louvres will reopen is anyone's guess. The belief here is that art comes alive through the public's eye. Until then, the museum prepares for its resurrection. Michael?
All right, Tanya, let's jump into the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, where we're asking you if it's the backlash that Senator Ted Cruz is receiving for flying to Cancun during the winter storm is warranted. We can cruise through a couple of these here. We will go back to Benjamin Belcher, who I believe is coming at us with the leave Britney alone and just substituting Ted Cruz. Leave Ted Cruz alone. Casey Haggerty says, I'm not going to threaten to leave the country. That's not far enough away from this propaganda. Leaving on the jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. Very nice. Donnell Patterson, he left and came back, I heard. Dave, I'm gonna go past your picture there, but Dave says, kudos to the KOM producers. Come up with these great questions. Enjoy the weekend. And club member, get off my lawn. And Roy Mercer, what's the big deal? My boy Raymond went around town this week, busted out street lights to help save electric, and that never made the news. I think an episode of Andy Griffith might have given him the idea. I was actually thinking maybe Cool Hand Luke too. When the very beginning of it, you go around and take off the parking meters. Kim Jones says, if this is a pre-planned, prepaid vacation, who cares? Really, who cares anyway, Kim asks. Was he supposed to warm Texas somehow? If he was anti-Trump, would these complainers care? Kim says, good grief. On the KOM News Now Facebook page, 63% of you say yes. Backlash is warranted. 37% of you say no. You can make your voice heard by going to komnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be right back. Take a look at our weekend forecast right after this. Cold, crisp, and clear on our Friday morning. Temperatures as low as -4 out there right now. Not a huge difference in the wind chill and the temperature, but still it's a multi-layer morning. Sunshine will kick in though. We're going to make it up into the 30s later on this afternoon, right around the freezing mark, so we can begin to finally melt the snow. And overnight we're able to stay into the 20s. We have a little rain that wants to kick in here on Sunday. I'm not going to say it's going to be widespread flooding concerns, but do want everybody to pay attention to the possibility, because that 5 to 7 inches of snow, it'll be a thing of the past there by the time we get to next week. Be back with more KOM Morning News right after this.
State's most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Warmer weather ahead, but first we have to get through these freezing temperatures. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Zooming into a 4-state that is clear, crisp, and cold on a Friday morning. 0 right now in Parsons, only 3 in Carthage. Let's roll -2 in Miami from the Freeman Health System sky camera, where we've been in the single digits all morning long. We sit at 4 degrees, factor in a little bit of the easterly breeze, and our wind chills are dipping into the negative numbers throughout Independence, Nevada, and Stockton. Skywatch storm tracker, a little retreat in the cold from the deep southern portion of the United States. And we're actually going to make it into the 30s later on this afternoon. Good dose of sunshine as we work into Saturday as well. And that's where we're going to throw up 40. So at least we are getting there on the mercury. And the snow going to begin to melt. On top of that, we're looking at some light rain on Sunday. Could have some flooding concerns though, because of the amount of snow that will have melted by then. And then we're going to roll high 40s, if not 50s, close to 60 on Monday and Tuesday.
All right.
Get rid of that snow. Get out of here.
I like seeing those temperatures above freezing 7 days in a row.
And
that is nice.
Key factor for all that too is once we get into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're not going to have to worry about it refreezing.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That
will be nice, because it's going to be muddy when it all melts. That's for sure. Oklahoma is getting federal help dealing with the aftermath of the winter storm. President Biden yesterday approved a disaster declaration request that covers all of the state's 77 counties. The declaration will help the state with funding for mass care and sheltering, as well as direct federal funding assistance to state and local agencies. In a statement, Governor Kevin Stitt thanked the president for his, quote, swift action. Police and firefighters in Cherokee County, Kansas spent Wednesday and Thursday making sure residents had the bare necessities to get by during our recent dangerously cold weather. On top of their regular duties, deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office spent the day delivering food boxes to families who were stuck at home. The Columbus, Kansas Fire Department was also making deliveries, but instead of food, they were bringing people some extra warm fleece blankets provided by local charity Dream Big, Little One.
We simply made a Facebook video post, and we thought we'd give out 4 or 5 blankets, but within a day or two we had done 20 just through our department. So it went really well.
The winter weather forces a postponement of coronavirus vaccine clinics. Some of our local health departments are canceling or rescheduling clinics because of the weather. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what it takes to get everything back on track.
Almost 2 weeks of ice, snow, and below freezing temperatures have impacted local health departments' ability to hold coronavirus vaccine clinics.
The weather certainly has not been cooperative.
The Joplin Health Department had to cancel a clinic that would have gotten second doses of vaccine to 1,000 residents. And the Newton County Health Department had to cancel 2 clinics that would have gotten initial doses to 200 residents. Those appointments have been rescheduled, but it required doing a lot of work all over again.
When you've
had to do that one time, and then now we have to go back and do it. Of course, that takes time away, but we're just trying to split our duties.
Administrator Larry Bergner says they were able to get most people rescheduled, and if they weren't able to get a hold of someone,
they then get moved to the front of the line for the very next clinic that happens.
We had a lot of older individuals that was scheduled, and so a lot of them were actually worried that, they were just going to miss their appointment because they weren't going to be able to make it in anyway. So a lot of them actually have been pretty thankful that we rescheduled.
Nursing Supervisor Renee Bond says it can be frustrating to have the vaccines and not be able to use them yet, but they're working to get them into arms as quickly as possible.
Hopefully we'll get pretty busy with vaccines because that's what we need right now to take care of this. So.
In Neosho, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The next vaccine clinic in Newton County is scheduled for Tuesday. Jasper County health officials report 5 more COVID-19 related deaths. The patients were 4 men, one in his 50s, another in his 60s, and 2 in their 70s, and an 80-year-old woman. The latest deaths bring the county's total to 138. You can stay up to date on the latest COVID-19 numbers for other area communities on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Additionally, you can find those numbers on the KOAM News Now app. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. According to the Miami, Oklahoma Will Rogers Middle School, a student is recovering in the hospital from a sledding accident. School didn't provide much detail, only that a student was hurt and has several broken ribs and a concussion. Wish him the best. There's a debate gaining momentum in Topeka. Should college students pay on-campus tuition if the pandemic forced them off campus? This week, a House panel amended the state's higher education budget to require that colleges, community colleges, and technical schools reimburse students for 50% of the tuition paid every day they spend online instead of in the classroom. The amendment would reimburse at 100% for days that students miss class entirely. Colleges have already refunded students some fees for lost housing and food services using federal relief funds. Any further refunds would involve thousands of students and could hurt budgets. Higher education institutions have already been warning of cuts and layoffs. 6:07.
It is a cold one out there right now, but look at that number there for our afternoon high. Going to be right at the freezing mark. We can finally get rid of a little snow. Let's put future track into motion, as we are going to be clear and cool today. And then as we get into Saturday, this is going to be delightful because we can finally begin a little bit of a melt all the way up into the 40s. Little bit of rain kicking in by the time we get into Sunday, but at least we can skirt that snow up to the far north. Do have some flooding concerns because that 5 to 7 inches of snow, once the melt begins, has got to go somewhere.
All right, and that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a new way to start your workday.
Millions of Americans are working from home and struggling to separate the two. I'm Nichelle Medina with how a fake commute may help.
Plus, a CVS in Massachusetts accidentally gave out the wrong dosage to patients on Monday. And we get some tips from the SEK Humane Society on how to keep your pets safe from the cold. You're watching KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, millions of people are working from home because of the pandemic. The good news is they don't have to commute anymore. But that can actually be a bad thing in some cases. Nichelle Medina explains.
Danielle Parada's morning commute starts like many. She leaves her house and stops off for a cup of coffee or tea. Woohoo! The educator and tutor then heads to her job, but not at a school. She actually goes right back home for another day of working remotely.
I'm doing it online at home using Zoom, so still doing a lot of the things I was doing before, but now through a computer screen. And I feel like being in the house all the time, there were days that would go by that I was just like, wow, I haven't left the house in 5 days.
So once a week, Parada does what's known as a fake commute.
It separates my home and my work.
And she's not alone.
Research shows that this idea of segmentation, so keeping work and home life separate, tends to have some beneficial effects for work-life balance.
Kristen Shockley is an associate professor of psychology and says the fake commute can help people clear their head, and it doesn't have to be a drive.
It sounds like fake commuting can really help your mental health, but your physical health as well.
Yeah, that's one really nice thing. If you're able to do something like walking around the block, you're going to get the benefits that come from both being outside and getting that activity in.
Parada will often include a walk in her fake commute.
It makes me feel like I'm going somewhere, even though I'm just coming back home.
And that makes it a little easier to get through the workday. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, San Diego.
Just don't waste too much gas. The Labor Department released its new jobless report on Thursday. It says another 861,000 people filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week, and that's nearly 100,000 claims more than economists predicted. The numbers jump higher when you include those filing for benefits through the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. More than 516,000 Americans filed for PUA benefits. That brings the total of first-time claims filed last week to 1.4 million. Walmart is raising wages for 525,000 of its workers. The country's largest private employer said it would raise pay for hourly U.S. workers to an average above $15 an hour. But that doesn't mean everyone will be making that much. Its minimum starting wage for U.S. workers will remain at $11 an hour. Walmart employs about 1.5 million hourly U.S. workers. Beginning March 13th, the company said pay for store workers in digital and stocking positions will go up to $13 to $19 an hour, depending on store location. A nationwide donut and coffee shop is launching 3 new drinks with something different on top. Dunkin' Donuts unveiled its newest menu items, all cold brew topped with a sweet foam. One of the new drinks, called the Chocolate Stout Cold Brew, combines chocolate and what Dunkin' calls a malty molasses flavor. Another, the Charlie Cold Foam, got its name from Charlie D'Amelio, popular creator on TikTok. The drink features caramel, cinnamon, sugar, and their new foam. Yummy. All of the drinks hit Dunkin' restaurants on February 24th. That's it for Money Watch. We'll be right back.
Rolling up by 1/4 the hour. It'll be past 17 by the time we do this. So good weather on the 7s. Our weather almanac for this February 19th. We're getting close to that record of 1 below there from 1978. Been 12 consecutive days now without a high above 32 degrees as the snow remains at the Freeman Health System campus with wind chill actual temperatures of 3 below in Pittsburgh, 2 below in Nevada, and let's roll another 3 below in Independence. Returning to Freeman in Joplin, wind chill right now of 4 degrees. Not a real big difference between our temps and where we actually stand, but still multi-layer morning for the kiddos if they are returning back to school. High pressure system does kind of help us out as it forces all the precipitation along the mid-Atlantic. Still going to pick up some snow there and for the northeastern portion of the United States. And then we do have the one that's working in off the Pacific, going to bring us just a little light moisture here by the time we get done with the weekend. But for our Friday, Skywatch Storm Tracker, clean and crisp and clear. We're starting to see the colder temperatures down from the deep south begin to recede just a little bit back toward the Canadian border, and that's why we're going to have plenty of sunshine for today with high pressure all throughout the Midwest. Our weather trainer, like I said, we've been 12 consecutive days without hitting the 32-degree mark. We're going to throw up some 32s, even some 34s down to the south, and a whole bunch of sunshine as well. Future track's going to be pretty mundane, and we're actually going to begin to warm up just a little bit. As a matter of fact, by the time we get into Saturday, we're going to throw up 40s on the board. So there goes our 5 to 7 inches of snow that's still on the ground. It will begin to melt. By the time we get into Sunday, we will see some light rain. We're going to be on the far western edge of a band that formulates right here. But even with some light rain, with all the snow going everywhere, we got some flooding concerns by the time the weekend is over. Delightful to start next weekend. 50 and then almost 60 degrees on Monday and Tuesday. Grab your phone. Got your camera app open. All you got to do is snap a picture of that QR code right there. We'll run this throughout the course of the show if you missed it. Don't worry about it. We'll bring it back. That will take you to the Skywatch weather app. It is free. It is downloadable for all your mobile devices. Now over to Jesse in Studio K.
Well, with all the cold weather we've been having here in the 4 states, you got to think about animals like dogs, cats as well, and that's why this morning we are fortunate enough to be joined by our friend Jasmine Kyle, who is here to sort of share a little bit of insight into what the Humane Society does, specifically in southeast Kansas when you get this kind of weather. Jasmine, what have you guys been doing this the past few days and this week to make sure the animals are doing okay.
Yeah, we're trying to stay warm just like everybody else. The biggest thing that we have been talking to the public about is if for some reason they cannot bring their outdoor dogs or cats inside, they need to be insulating their shelters with straw. I cannot tell you how many times we have to correct people, do not use blankets. If those blankets get wet in those freezing conditions, they will freeze onto the animals. And most of the time it leads to them suffocating because that blanket will wrap around them, refreeze in the middle of the night, and they won't be able to get out. The best case scenario, it's frozen to their body, they have hypothermia, and you're amputating. It is an awful situation. Wow. So if for some reason you're caring for outdoor animals right now, you need to be packing their shelter houses with straw. It is the best and safest insulator.
Jasmine, I know this week you are going to be testifying in opposition of a proposed House bill in the state of Kansas regarding greyhound racing and gambling around the sport. Can you share with me why this is something that you and the Humane Society are speaking out against, and maybe present your case as to why you guys do or don't think this is good for the community?
Absolutely. So House Bill 2199, again, our organization does not have any position on sports wagering until such legislation permits wagering on animals, and that includes greyhound racing. It is known to be an absolutely inhumane sport. There's already 41 states in the United States that have legally banned dog racing, and it's for a good reason. There is no profit from these races, period. States lose millions on these races. The only reason they have live greyhound racing is because such legislation provides them allowance to do gambling on their site and extra slot machines and such. They're not doing it for the dogs. They're doing it for the gambling. So we are trying to amend this bill to basically what they're allowing is racinos to offer an open sports wagering to run a minimum live number of greyhound races. So we're trying to amend it to remove racinos in order to stop the return of greyhound racing in Kansas. Now, Kansas hasn't seen greyhound racing for some time. There's only 3 actual large tracks in Kansas, and one of them is the closed one in Frontenac. That's why we always keep a close eye on the situation. So us, other Kansas Humane Societies, and even the United States Humane Society, we will be testifying against this 2199 to have this amended, that to have it prohibit all greyhound races anywhere in Kansas.
Jasmine, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning. We're going to have information on our website if you want to learn more about how you can help the animals in your community, especially during this cold weather. But Jasmine, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a CVS in Ipswich, Massachusetts is contacting patients who received the COVID vaccine at their location to let them know about a dosage mistake. The pharmacy said a limited number of patients who got the Moderna vaccine on Monday were inadvertently given smaller doses than they should have received. Steve Cooper, who spoke to one woman who was affected.
You just sort of are in shock.
Carol Kennedy Hurley is still shaking her head in disbelief, just days after getting her COVID vaccine at the CVS in Ipswich, only to be notified by the pharmacist about a dosage mistake.
You got your shot here Monday. I said, yes, I did. Well, I'm calling you to tell you that there was a mistake in the dosage.
CVS says a limited number of patients who received the vaccine Monday here at the Central Street location were inadvertently given a smaller dosage, receiving 0.3 milliliters of the Moderna vaccine instead of the correct 0.5 milliliter dose.
So I guess the basic word is trust. That's really what it comes down to. And from the beginning of this whole pandemic, who do you trust?
Doctors say despite the mess-up, there's no reason for patients like Carol to get an additional dose, and she can still get the second shot next month as planned.
So different things that you could do to try to minimize or mitigate the risk of errors. But we know, because we're humans, that there may be errors happening, especially when we're trying to vaccinate with 2 different vaccines.
CVS released a written statement that reads in part, "We have contacted all affected patients to apologize and answer any questions they might have," adding, "We reported it to the appropriate regulatory agencies." But Carol says no one apologized to her.
CVS said they apologized to everybody.
Well, no. They just gave me the information, and it was really nonchalant.
CVS says it has since implemented changes to ensure future mishaps are avoided. Life expectancy in the U.S. dropped in the first half of 2020. New report from the National Center for Health Statistics, which is part of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, found life expectancy at birth for the total U.S. population went down 1 year from 78.8 years old in 2019 to 77.8 years old in 2020. The CDC says the main reason for the overall drop in American life expectancy is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. South Carolina lawmakers approve a bill banning almost all abortions, known as the South Carolina Fetal Heartbeat and Protection from Abortion Act. The bill states that a doctor must perform an ultrasound, and if a heartbeat is detected, the abortion can only be performed if the mother's life is in danger or if the pregnancy stemmed from rape or incest. Should a mother choose to get an illegal abortion, she would not be penalized. However, the person performing the procedure could be hit with a felony charge. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Frigid one outside. Temperatures right now as low as 5 below in Pittsburgh and in Grove. Let's roll a -1 in Parsons and -3 in Nevada. Now, the nice thing is the sunshine going to kick in. Looking to snap this string of 12 consecutive days below the freezing mark. And even though we see 31, 32 on the horizon for this afternoon, let's also remember it's a multi-layer morning as we are right now just 3 degrees above breaking a record for February 19 that dates back to 1978 in Joplin. As we progress into the weekend, our temperatures do begin to warm up with 40s on Saturday and Sunday. Looking for some light rain there on Sunday as well. Now, while it won't be anything severe, you've got to remember, with the snow melting, that does cause some flooding concerns. And then all the way into next week, that snow's a thing of the distant past as we're close to 50 and 60 on Monday and Tuesday. More KOAM Morning News for you right after this.
President Biden approves Oklahoma's disaster declaration request, what that means for the state. Plus, local first responders go out of their way to bring supplies to stranded families. And debate brews in the Kansas Capitol over whether universities should charge full tuition for classes pushed online.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Warmer weather is just around the corner with a chance of rain on the way. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
We're getting there, thanks in part to some sunshine that we're going to have after it rises here. But I tell you what, it's still a very, very chilly morning. 5 below in Pittsburgh, 4 below in Miami, and 3 below in Nevada. As we look at the Freeman Health System sky camera and sit at 4 degrees, record low for February 19, -1. So we're actually really close. We've been stabilized here at 4 in Joplin. We never really got to the negative numbers this morning, but we've got a little bit of wind chill in effect. So bundle them up if they're headed back to school. Of course, complete list of closings right there at the bottom of your screen. You can find the additional list, KOAMnewsnow.com, along with our road conditions. You shouldn't have any trouble traveling today. It's just going to be those side streets because haven't had a chance to get to the melt yet. That changes for this afternoon as we finally get at the freezing mark. And then by the time we get into Saturday, that'll be welcome. Throw up those 40s right there. Got some light rain headed our way on Sunday. And then look at this, close to 50 and 60. To begin next week on Monday and Tuesday.
All right.
We'll take that.
We will take that. No complaints here. Oklahoma is getting federal help dealing with the aftermath of the winter storm. President Biden yesterday approved a disaster declaration request that covers all of the state's 77 counties. The declaration will help the state with funding for mass care and sheltering, as well as direct federal funding assistance to state and local agencies. In his statement, Governor Kevin Stitt thanked the president for his, quote, swift action. Police and firefighters in Cherokee County, Kansas spent Wednesday and Thursday making sure residents had the bare necessities to get by during our recent dangerously cold weather. On top of their regular duties, deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office spent the day delivering food boxes to families who were stuck at home. The Columbus, Kansas Fire Department was also making deliveries, but instead of food, they were bringing people some extra warm fleece blankets provided by local charity Dream Big, Little One. The COVID-19 vaccine could be the most coveted product in the world right now, and some people are going to great lengths to get it. Emily Collins introduces us to a man preparing to make his second trip from Oklahoma City to Washington State just to get vaccinated.
The nation line up to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. 84-year-old Dwayne Renberger is packing up for yet another trip to his home state of Washington.
I only get out of the car to get gas and eat through the drive-thrus and eat nuts most of the way and drink tea, so I never get sleepy.
Renberger and his wife Ethelene spend their time traveling back and forth between Oklahoma City and Richland, Washington. When the pandemic hit, they found themselves stuck in OKC. They've been here ever since, until it came time to get vaccinated.
I realized early on that it would be inappropriate to try to get a vaccine here for me because it's allocated by states.
In late January, Renberger drove the 1,800 miles to Kennewick, Washington in 2.5 days to get his first vaccine shot. After, he headed back to Oklahoma, battling winter weather conditions along the way.
I get scared once coming back at Icy Road.
And as he prepares to make the trip again for his second shot, weather is his biggest concern.
I'm willing to be late on my shot so I don't get killed on these snowy roads, and there's lots of big hills. And so I'll be flexible when I leave to make sure she's okay and the roads are okay.
Renberger's van, though, is all ready to go.
Sleeping bags, pillows.
He even has a porta potty built using a 5-gallon pail and a snap-on toilet seat. Nothing is going to keep this 84-year-old from protecting himself and his family from the coronavirus.
Again, that was Emily Collins reporting. Renberger plans to leave tomorrow for his second trip to Washington, weather permitting, of course. There's a debate gaining momentum in Topeka. Should college students pay on-campus tuition if the pandemic forced them off campus? This week, a House panel amended the state's higher education budget to require that colleges, community colleges, and technical schools reimburse students for 50% of the tuition paid every day they spend online instead of in the classroom. The amendment would reimburse at 100% for days that students miss class entirely. And colleges have already refunded students some fees for lost housing and food services using federal relief funds. Any further refunds would involve thousands of students and could hurt budgets. Higher education institutions have already been warning of cuts and layoffs. Police in Miami, Oklahoma are asking for help locating the person in this video and another suspect. Workers with the Boys and Girls Club of Ottawa County say the catalytic converter of one of their vans was stolen. Anyone with information about what happened or the location of people involved should contact police. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Federal COVID response update.
President Biden travels to Michigan to tour a Pfizer vaccine facility as winter weather continues to disrupt distribution. I'm Deborah Alfron in Washington with more on the president's push for his massive COVID relief plan.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, we're asking, is the backlash Senator Ted Cruz receiving for flying to Cancun warranted? We want you to weigh in. But first, it's 6:37.
At least we get some sunshine today. A little bit warmer than what we've experienced all last week, because we're going to get real close to the magical 32-degree mark. We'll even see some in excess of 32 down to the south right there, break that string of 12 consecutive days where we've been below the freezing mark. And then as we work into the weekend, we're going to have 40s on Saturday and Sunday. Got a little light rain on Sunday, but that snow is going to be a thing of the past by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday, as we're rolling close to 50 and 60 to begin next week. Of course, you can always find the latest on the KOAM Skywatch weather app, downloadable for free on all your mobile devices. Just snap a picture of that QR code right there from your phone. We'll run that here throughout the course of the show as well for you, so don't feel like it's a one-shot deal if you missed anything. We'll come back with Nation Watch right after this.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, President Biden is scheduled to visit a facility in Michigan today where Pfizer is making its vaccine. The president's administration continues to push for his $1.9 trillion COVID relief package that the House of Representatives will likely vote on next week. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from Washington.
Pfizer will host President Biden today at its vaccine manufacturing facility in Portage, Michigan.
He'll be very impressed, as I have been, with the quality of the workers, the job that they're doing.
Winter weather has caused a slowdown of vaccine shipments and deliveries in recent days, forcing cancellations or delays of vaccine appointments in at least 32 states. California's Disneyland, a mega vaccination site, is now closed until more doses arrive. Add to that new economic pain. This week, unemployment claims rose higher than expected. San Francisco business owner Johnny Metheny had to permanently close his restaurant.
We had 19 employees that unfortunately we had to lay off. And it's devastating for them, and it just crushes me. It hurts me.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen believes Mr. Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill is a big part of the solution.
We're digging out of a deep hole. Last year was the worst year for economic growth since World War II.
The House hopes to vote on the president's stimulus plan a week from today before sending it on to the Senate. Democrats want to approve it before some benefits from the first round of pandemic aid expire on March 14th.
And while the president has promised vaccine shots for all Americans to be distributed by the middle of the summer, normalcy is still a way off, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci.
By the end of the year, by Christmas.
He says until then, Americans should continue to wear masks and social distance. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Pfizer has begun testing its vaccine on healthy pregnant women. More than 4,000 volunteers are part of this study. CBS News has confirmed federal prosecutors have begun a preliminary investigation into how New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's administration handled nursing homes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Cuomo has said he made a mistake by not providing accurate information on deaths. After an aide admitted numbers were withheld to the public to avoid some sort of retaliation from the Trump administration. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Hey, Tanya, this morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, asking how you feel about the backlash Senator Ted Cruz is receiving for flying to Cancun during the winter storm. We'll kick our comments off with John Treeben, who says, of course it's okay to take a break. He doesn't control the weather, and isn't it ridiculous to keep having shortages year after year? USA should always be prepared. Good morning, KOAM. Good morning, America. Good morning, John. Judy Hastings says, I guess the press and media have been pointed to another, quote, whipping boy, end quote, now that Trump is out of the line of fire for the moment. The Dems must see Cruz as a threat, so they will target every move he makes. He cannot personally repair the power grid, so why can't he have a weekend off with his family, Judy asks. On the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, 59% of you say, yeah, it's warranted. 41% say no, not worth the time. You can log on, make your vote heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Birthdays and anniversaries next.
Take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Matthew Bali, who was a member of the United States Army. He served in 2005 in Baghdad, his hometown, Gentry, Arkansas. We are proud to salute Matthew Bali, our four-state hero.
And the birthday list begins with a big number 1 for Kyler Henderson. Kyler giving all of us a Friday morning wave right there. Happy birthday, Mr. Kyler in Chanute.
A big shout out going out to the Roberts triplets. You've got Axel, Stella, and Ava there in that picture. They're all 5 years old right now. What a wonderful photo of the Roberts triplets.
Speaking of 5, I'm going back to Chanute, because that's where a smiling Brennan Smith is celebrating. I'm on board with you, buddy. Rock the single star. Love the hat. How about them Cowboys?
Super cute, super cute. Charlie Insminger turning 7 strong
Thumbs
this
up.
year. Happy birthday to Charlie in Moran, Kansas.
I like that. Tatum Johnston, that's an 8th birthday. That's a good photo right there. That's pretty cool. Happy birthday to Tatum. He is in Oswego.
That is really cute. And an Edna, Kansas, Sabrina Foster.
I'll be done.
Hey, we got 2 in a row here. News and
cool.
bucket feeding. Let's see, Sabrina turned in 8 years old as well.
That is too cool right there. Back to back, geographically,
age.
right down the road from each other. That's awesome. All right, Briley Cook. Nice catch. There we go. Not only that, it reminds me of warmer weather, Briley. I appreciate that. Riley's celebrating number 11 in Pittsburgh, and these happy birthday wishes from Papa Doug.
All right.
Papa Doug may be the one that went out there, got that, and would probably maybe snapped that picture.
Yeah, fishing buddy. Fishing buddy.
Could be.
All right, in Mountain Valley, Kansas, turning 11, Riley Bolden. Happy birthday. You got something big behind you there.
Hey, Luke Smith, I got something to say, because this happy birthday wish comes from Mom, and this is really cool, because she wants you to know how proud she is to be your mother. Luke, I want you to have a marvelous birthday. You go give your mom a hug, kiddo. He's in our studio.
All right, in Cherryville, Kansas, Morgan Strickland celebrating birthday number 12 this year. Hope it's a great one.
On to the teenage years, Georgia Arnold, celebrating her 13th birthday. Congratulations, Miss Georgia. She's in Carl Junction.
All right, Lane Sullivan
Who?
is sweet 16. Lane, happy birthday in Frontenac. Hope it's a great one.
Y'all can make fun of him because Tanya said sweet 16.
I always do that though.
Happy birthday, Lane.
It's a sweet year.
That's good, man. Lexi Nolan, she is celebrating her 18th birthday. Miss Lexi, a happy birthday to you in Riverton.
All right, and Jonathan Rowe, AKA Punk, turning 20 years old in Hepler, Kansas. There must be a story behind that name.
Party on in Carl Junction because Harmony Cundiff is celebrating her 21st birthday. Congratulations, Miss Harmony.
All right. And let's see. In Pittsburgh, we've got Bryce Commons turning 25 years old.
Yeah!
Okay, but this photo was actually taken at Disneyland where, as I understand, Bryce wanted to be their guest. That's
Bryce,
smart.
we absolutely love you, man. I know that you're up watching right now, and I want you to have a marvelous, marvelous birthday. I'm gonna see you here in about a week, my man. So a happy birthday to you, and like I said, I can't wait to see you next week. You know I'll be out there, and I know you'll be out there, and you and I'll reconnect right there. You tell your mom I said hello as well.
All right.
Eve Norman, a happy 55th birthday. Eve is in Nevada.
Gloria Zerbania turning 56 years old in Sarcoxie. Happy birthday, Gloria.
Now, Mr. Bill Spencer, he is celebrating his 90th birthday. What a marvelous picture right there. Bill, I want you to know that special birthday wishes from your entire family. I want you to have a marvelous 90th birthday, and congratulations as well.
All right, and Mila Yeager celebrating a birthday in Columbus.
Speaking of the
Hope it's a great
bus,
one there.
Ross King, he's celebrating in Columbus as well. Happy birthday, Ross.
Not just Ross and Mila. We got more.
Speaking of the bus, happy birthday to Corky Zom. It's been a while since I've seen Mr. Zom. Mr. Corky, I hope you're doing very well, sir. And a very happy birthday from all of us. Janet Humble, celebrating her 42nd birthday. Janet is in Scammon. A happy birthday to Marcia Gard, who's in St. Paul. Oh! Well, we don't get pictures from the Ulepiches anymore? What's this about? I will take this up. I will find out what's going on.
I was
Happy
wondering why
birthday,
we don't
Miss
have
Jill.
one. I was wondering why we don't have one from Dustin Wetzel.
That's a good question, too.
Yeah, because I know there's plenty of pictures out there out and about on Facebook. We need one of those. Dustin, happy birthday
Probably didn't
to
get his
you.
hair cut lately. You know how particular he is.
True.
Happy
true.
birthday, Dustin.
Get the beard just right. Dolores Bernaz celebrating a birthday in Nevada, and happy birthday wishes going out to Robin Mustang, who's now 40 years old, and Parsons. Happy birthday from Dad Tom.
All right, Deborah Castle, a happy 66th birthday. Deborah is in Galesburg. John Rowe is turning 77, and that just happens to be Jonathan Rowe's grandfather. So very happy birthday to Mr. Rowe. And Lucy Glasscock, she is now a 20-year-old. Happy birthday to you, Miss Lucy. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all on this February 19th. Maybe you're celebrating on the 20th as well. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Community Blood Center of the Ozarks declares a state of emergency for the local blood supply. Severe winter weather over the last 2 weeks caused almost all mobile blood drives to be canceled, resulting in the loss of almost 1,000 potential donations. Eligible donors are strongly urged to give immediately at CBCO Donor Center or blood drive near them. Joplin area residents will have the opportunity to help bolster the blood supply at an emergency blood drive today from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Freeman Business Center. Police and firefighters in Cherokee County, Kansas spent Wednesday and Thursday making sure residents had the bare necessities to get by during our recent dangerously cold weather. On top of their regular duties, deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office spent the day delivering food boxes to families who were stuck at home. Columbus, Kansas Fire Department was also making deliveries, but instead of food, they were bringing people some extra warm fleece blankets provided by local charity Dream Big, Little One. Winter weather is causing local health departments to postpone coronavirus vaccine clinics. City of Joplin canceled a second dose clinic for residents who got their first dose at the National Guard's drive-through clinic. And the Newton County Health Department postponed its first 2 clinics scheduled for this week. Larry Bergner with the health department says they were for initial doses and they are being rescheduled for next week. The city of Carterville, Missouri offers free cases of water to residents as it deals with its own water issues. Residents can go to the fire station to get up to 2 cases of water per household. Delivery is available for the elderly. Earlier this week, a pump failed and the city lost access to its water supply and is now under a boil advisory. Now they're getting a new pump that they say will work better. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
While we're starting to lose a little taste of our winter weather, it's still a multi-layer morning as we do have temperatures as low as -6 wind chill in both Fort Scott, Nevada, throw Stockton in there as well. But this string of 12 consecutive days below the freezing mark just may end today as we will get up very, very close, if not a degree or two above 32 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport. Headed into the weekend, 40s, goodbye snow by the time we get to next week. A little light rain on Sunday. Remember, we are going to have some flooding concerns because the 5 to 7 inches of snow on the ground, it's got to go somewhere.
That it does. Right now, a lot of it's just piled up on the sides of the streets. Ooh. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making Scandinavian cabbage soup in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You couldn't wait to tell me that, could you? I love it. Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Morning News coming up next, or switch on over to us on Fox 14, where we're going to continue to roll your comments. Have a good time. It's Friday. You never know what Tanya and I may have up our sleeves. Our incomparable producer, Caden Milner, right behind the camera, looking at me just like with a death stare right now when I said that. We love you, Caden. Wraps it up for this edition of the